Hey everyone, this is Mike Klingler, and I wanted to give you an update on USI. Sunday, February 25th at 2:11 a.m. Pacific time. I just ended a 11-hour marathon webinar for those in my CWE Autobot team and missed this USI update because I was there, but I caught up with it in our USI discussions group. I'm not letting anyone be, I'll read that letter to you in a minute. I'll share with you my thoughts. I'm not going to allow any more people to join the group. You can ask to join the group, and I will let you in soon, but I want more clarification on a lot of these things. And I just don't want to be managing like a bunch of negativity and confusion and chaos with more people. So you can see we already have 2,261 people in the USI discussions group to discuss and work together collectively, constructively. I understand there's going to be challenges. I understand there's going to be frustration, anger. With that said, I think there is some positivity to point out. Other lending platforms like DeVorCoin, BitConnect did not fulfill obligations to the same level of integrity that usi-tech is attempting to do. I'm going to talk about that. With that said, there's plenty that I'm sure people are going to be upset about, and I understand that. So I'm going to address all that. I'm going to read the letter. I'm going to share my thoughts. And of course, there's more to come, and I'm hoping there's more positivity to come from usi-tech on this. They're obviously in a very difficult financial situation, and I'm not going to place blame or go into the deep abyss of negativity. There's some positives about what I'm seeing. I want to talk about that, and it just depends on if they deliver on those positives, if there's, as they're promising here in terms of what I decided to do with this group. I would like you guys that are in the USI discussions group, for those of you that are in here already, to remain constructive. That's different than being positive. But it also means not being negative. Being constructive means being respectful in communication, controlling your emotions, and letting clarity arise out of all of this before we jump to erratic conclusions. If you're of the kind of person that just can't do that, I'm going to have to remove you from the group. If there's just too much negativity, it isn't that I don't understand. It isn't that I don't empathize with you. It's that we just can't do anything constructive with that. It becomes chaos, and it's just not useful. What I hope to do with this group is to create a collective voice in USI so we can work together to create some kind of positive outcome and some kind of collective voice that isn't built on anger, but instead is built on, again, a collaboration towards a constructive outcome. I can't do that with people that just can't control their emotions and express themselves respectfully and respect their ideas respectfully, or express their ideas respectfully, I mean. Been a long day for me, so forgive me if I'm a little rummy. 11 hours on a webinar supporting my new team in CWE. It was a marathon, and so I'm a little fuzzy-minded, but I'm going to read the letter and share my thoughts with you, and we'll move forward from here. A lot of people posted it. Julianne here posted it. Lots of people posted it in our group. usi-tech news update. February 24th. Dear partner, the countdown is underway for the beginning of all previously announced necessary measures. Definitely has a different tone to it than some of the previous material. Again, I think the biggest mistake with this is there's just no PR. There's some other things that are some issues, but again, there's some positivity I want to bring attention to. So let's get through this. In just a few days, we'll be able to resume regular operations with a coordinated, sustainable approach. So you guys remember what I was concerned about the word regular operations in their last communications. And I said that could mean a lot of things. It obviously doesn't mean, as you get through this, doesn't mean what a lot of you hoped it meant. And I didn't think that it would. I didn't think we'd see regular operations as we used to see them. I think they just meant they wouldn't be charging people for things that they weren't delivering on. At least they would get back into integrity on if they're taking in money, they're intending to deliver what they're promising. So I think that's what they mean by regular operations. It's just they're not going to be delivering what they used to. And that's pretty much what I suspected. You have purchased a BTC package from us, or BTC packages, and utilized the services offered by our company. We regret, however, that in the last few weeks we had, now this is where it gets a little weird. And where the big mistake, I think, was. Now, they're probably positioning themselves for legal reasons, I don't know, but the cost to their PR is high in this and their relationships. We regret, however, and that's not my opinion, that's just a fact if you know PR. We regret, however, that in the last few weeks, we have determined that some of our company's distributors have behaved in a manner that is seriously harmful to our business. there's a lot of angles to take here. Whether that's true or not true doesn't have to be the focus or the tone of the letter. They're talking to a lot of people that didn't do that. I think to demonize and blame and have that be like the leading message, while it may play a role somewhere in the communication, probably shouldn't be the leading message. Just my opinion. I think most PR specialists would agree. Based on this behavior, we have begun a detailed review of our entire system over the past few weeks. The exact findings are now available. A large number of our distribution partners have illegally, just strong language, and in violation of their contracts received additional commissions and monetary claims. Again, if that's true, like that's kind of a side note. That's not your message to the mass community that have, behaved properly and fulfilled their end of the obligation. Like that's who they're communicating with mostly here. So while this might be important communication in some regard, probably not the leading communication, right? Just from a PR perspective, I feel like a big miss there. These considerable fraudulent, did I finish that? A large number of our distribution partners have illegally, in violation of their contracts, received additional commissions and monetary claims. These considerable fraudulent violations result mainly from unlawful double payments for partner activities via fabricated rebuy, commission payouts via fake multiple registrations, and illegal advertising for the acquisition of benefits. I don't know how this could be in the last couple of weeks because a lot of people haven't been really able to withdraw anything within the last couple of weeks, like unless it was from way back. So of course, before they were saying it was the U.S. mostly, and I think U.S. and Canada, or just the U.S. that were doing this, and now it's like obviously it can't be the U.S. and Canada that did this in the last couple of weeks. So I don't know. It's a stretch. If it's true, again, it shouldn't be the leading communication that goes out to everybody. A big misstep there from a PR perspective, regardless of what really went down. As a result of this misconduct, the viability and profitability of the active BTC packages in their current form are no longer feasible. I mean, quite frankly, I don't believe that that's the reason. And, maybe it's a contributing factor, but the way that they've approached this, the way that they framed it before as being only the US, and now obviously this is outside the US, it's hard to bite and chew and swallow that. If it is true, again, it shouldn't be the leading communication. So not to the masses of their loyal, fans and others that have maybe aren't fans anymore, but have operated in integrity, contributed tremendously to the company, and didn't break rules. Like it's a small percentage who did. So it's weird to have that be the main communication and so specific. And again, the challenge is, that was the blame of why they stopped paying the U.S. There were these people that were these fraudsters, and now, before it was just in the U.S. and that's when there was an excuse to stop paying the U.S. And now we're seeing that outside the U.S. Again, I'm not taking a negative view. I'm just kind of pointing out the obvious that it's definitely not the right message, even if it were true, and it's hard to believe the way that this has kind of gone down. I feel like that's neither here nor there, but it's definitely a misstep from a public relations perspective. In order to not excessively jeopardize your costs and expenses for the BTC packages, considering the aforementioned fraudulent behavior, I mean, I don't know. That's strong language that really brings out the worst in people, and most people that have engaged with USI have done so in the utmost integrity and good intentions and delivered on their end. It's just an interesting stance to take with the mass community. And in order to, I'm going to see maybe some of this language if they were really going out to sue some of these people, but we're talking about a small percentage in comparison to who they're communicating with. That's just seems like this isn't a message for the masses who have fulfilled their end of the obligation as customers and as business partners for usi-tech. Anyway, and in order to spare you a loss, we are unfortunately forced to immediately discontinue the BTC packages in their current form. Though we deeply regret doing so, we hereby terminate the contractual relationship between your BTC package immediately by extraordinary or ordinary termination. So, what was is no more. In regard to the legality of the termination of the above mentioned BTC packages without notice, we refer to our terms and conditions, which you've accepted, in which states verbatim, usi-tech expressly reserves the right and ability to discontinue service at any time without prior notice. I mean, so that's it in a nutshell. They're discontinuing service, the BTC packages. Goes on to say, we now make use of this right and further refer to our terms and conditions in which we expressly point out that we assume no warranty or guarantee that the user client will achieve any profit through the BTC packages. We also point out that there is always a significant risk or loss, even total loss, in this extremely speculative market. Again, I think regulators would take issue with that, saying that wasn't the emphasis of what was communicated, and it's like that fine print trick, that they're falling back on. And again, they can do that. They have that right to do that, but it definitely opens them up to scrutiny. And the obvious reality is they simply can't deliver. People can argue with me all they want, but I really think that a number of events have taken place, probably since the U.S. cease and desist, that led to business partners, investors pulling out from the plans that they had, the things that they announced. This is just me speculating. And there were a number of factors in the market with cryptocurrency prices that happened around the same time as the cease and desist that probably contributed to all of this a lot more than what they're stating. And I kind of wish they would just come out and be open about all of those factors and talk about, how, and just admit that it was, a high risk business vision that, and then certain events took place, and maybe even share a few of those. That, it explained kind of how it all went down. Blaming a small handful of people for why they can't deliver isn't probably the best approach if they win over the hearts and minds of people and move on with like a BTC 2.0. Just my perspective. I think there's some positives in here, and I'm going to talk about those. But I need to be kind of honest about, I think, the PR misstep here and the framing and the posturing. I don't understand why they took that approach. I think it's unnecessary. I think a lot of this could be communicated, but in a much more positive light, without the demonizing of a handful of people and blaming them, for things that there might have been a lot of reasons why they have this financial challenge. They obviously do. It just kind of makes a combative environment, like it feeds and fuels the really negative people and the people that think that they're the scammers and fraudsters. I'm not saying that they are. I don't think that was ever the case, but I think that this kind of feeds that because it's a lack of transparency and openness about all the factors that led to their financial challenge. That's just my take on it. Again, I really hope they can pull through and deliver on what they are promising here. I don't recommend anyone purchase anything until they start delivering. That would be crazy. But I do hope that they can deliver on something. I'm going to highlight the positive here, at least what they're intending to do, which is light years ahead of what Davercoin and BitConnect and many other lending platforms that models failed, what they did. So I do want to talk about that and get to that. Despite the notice of a risk of total loss in our terms and conditions, we strive not to assign a financial loss on the BTC packages to any client. So we're going to try to make it so people don't have a financial loss. And this is what gets to what I think is the impressive part of what they're aiming to do. And a lot of you think it's not good enough. You'll remember that previously in my communications in this group and also on my YouTube video, I said, hey, if they could just pay back the grandmas and the aunts and uncles, particularly those that never promoted it, who put in a lot of their money or even some of their money, and make sure they got their money back, I would feel very satisfied, and it would really underscore, some of the judgment that I had that was positive to these people that were leading this company. If you look at the other lending platforms, when it hits chaos, like they just bail. If they really do deliver in the sense that people don't end up having a loss, that's going to be very, very impressive. And then again, that I think will be kind of, for me, it will help me feel like my judgment of character wasn't extremely way off with these guys. Like, I knew it was a high risk environment. I communicated that. But when you compare them to the other lending platforms, when things got tough, the other lending platforms jetted and didn't help anybody recoup anything. If they really do at least make sure that no one had a financial loss, that's a huge deal. To be able to have the potential upside that they were promising and have it end up where there was no possibility of financial loss, That's incredible. That's unheard of. So we need to acknowledge that. And if they pull that off, and even their intention to do it deserves, even from the biggest skeptics, I mean, you might say, oh, they're just saying this or whatever. I don't think anybody would go this far and this deep if their intention wasn't to actually pay people off for what they had put in. Like, it's just too much work. Like, if they were going to scam people, they would have ran with the money a long time ago. The costs of running all this are not taking in any sales now. It just doesn't make any sense. They would pull a BitConnect by now if they were scamming and scheming. I think that they hit turbulent times. I think that that happened around the time right after the event in London, and they announced all these things, and then they got the cease and desist. And I think that that changed the dynamic of the business relationships. Bitcoin and particularly altcoin that I think they were heavily invested in, I think that started to go down at the same time, and a lot of things closed in on them. And I think people started to withdraw, and this combined situation, I think, and maybe there were some people that took out money and took advantage of the system. I think the combined forces of that put them in a precarious position. I wish they would just communicate that better, and admit that happens in business and that they're doing everything they can, which is highly unusual, which is what they're saying here, but a much more positive message to just be more open and honest about some of those things. There has to be other factors involved than just a handful of fraudsters milking the coffers. And again, it's really hard to believe when they before said, when they stopped paying the US and Canada, that it was mostly North America that had, taken money illegally from them. And now all of a sudden now they're pulling, a situation where it's kind of similar, where they're saying to the rest of the world, hey, now all of a sudden there are schemers here outside of North America that are causing us to do this. It's just, that's hard to swallow that one. I think there were other factors, and I wish they would just be open and honest about that. And because in business that happens, but taking this kind of angle, it feels combative. It just causes like a lot of the people that are negative towards USI to pull out the sword and get pissed off. And it's a language that they use that's going to trigger that. And here we are out here with our relationships with people, really trying to do the best we can with the situation. And I just feel like if they really do follow through on this and make sure nobody took a financial loss, like, that's amazing. And there's a lot of reasons to celebrate that, but the way they position themselves, that's not going to be really the message and the understanding that people are going to get out of it. And I'm going to do my best to help people understand that part. But the naysayers and the really negative people, like, I can understand why they're going to be triggered by this. And I think it was unnecessary from a PR communication perspective. All clients, let's see, did I read this? After the successful termination of all BTC packages, we will undertake the following approach. All clients who have withdrawn 100% or higher due to payouts of the deposit amount of the respective purchase, I'll explain this, BTC packages are terminated immediately. So what that's saying is, like, if you got back what you put in, even counting commissions, I think, if you got out what you put in, it's it. I think that's what that means. Could be wrong. That's what I think that means. Again, at least you got back what you put in. I mean, it doesn't take into account all the costs and expenses and time and everything that people put into developing their business and so forth. But nonetheless, I care less about what I personally lost in all of that. I care more about what I learned. I look at experiences differently than most in that way. There's moments of frustration, moments of anger, but I'm able to turn that into a positive by redirecting my energy and my focus onto what I can do. Like, for example, all day today, I was supporting my awesome new team with the CWE Autobot. I focus my energy somewhere else on something constructive, and we're doing awesome. You can't let stuff defeat you. I mean, again, that's my paradigm. I know not everybody's there, and I really empathize for those that feel immense loss, but understand it is a big deal, a very, very big deal if they do pull off making sure that nobody lost money. It's the people I care about most who put in money, who never promoted, who trusted their aunt, their uncle, their sister, their brother. And it's those relationships I care about. And it's the money that people really need. Maybe they overextended themselves, and I understand they have a responsibility in that, but quite frankly, there's a reason why there's regulators, and you might feel differently, but the reality is a lot of people just don't have good judgment when it comes to putting money into things. And now I sometimes don't have good judgment when I put money into things, stock market, silver, lending platforms, Davercoin, USI, but I can take it emotionally. Like, that's the difference. Some people can't, and we just have to accept that. You can say, toughen up. I have empathy for them, especially some of the older people or less educated people or people who just don't get it. And regardless of the fact that we could say they have a responsibility and they should know, the reality is a lot of them just don't. And so they feel pain, they feel misery, and that sucks. And while I agree that they have responsibility, accountability to all that, at the same time, I feel for them. And if you want to blame me for that, that's fine. I get it, but I feel empathy for them. And I just want to see them get their money back. So if they pull this through and they're able to get 100% back, I'm going to go, okay. So my judgment in the character of these leaders, where I felt if shit hit the fan, so to speak, and it was utter chaos and they couldn't pull it off, they would at least do what they could to do good on making sure people didn't lose money and not just walk away with a fortune themselves and dump it on everybody like BitConnect and Davercoin and so many others did. I would feel better about my judgment in them and feel that, it wasn't as bad as it will be and would be if it does what BitConnect and Davercoin and so many other lending platforms do, which is not care or even try to make sure that even the non-promoters get 100% of their money back. I really, really want to see them succeed, and I want us to be constructive in this group, in the USI discussions group, and I hope you guys, that are maybe waiting to get in this group, because I'm not going to add anybody just yet because it's too much to manage all the emotions. But when things calm down, things get more clear, I will let everyone that requested to come in here in. Maybe it's a couple days, maybe it's a week, and then we can have a collective voice and be constructive together. But anyway, I think you get my point. Due to the termination of the contractual relationship, there will be no further recoveries or payments for this BTC package. So let me read that again. Wait, all clients who have withdrawn 100% or higher, yeah, are terminated immediately. Okay, yeah, so I thought they said that already. Okay. Illustration of how the current BTC packages will be reset or stay live until they have reached the break-even point 100%. So picture one is down here. Is just saying, the obvious. BTC package active, reached 100% or more, like through all the different ways that you've been paid. If you got your money back that you put in, package reset, it means it goes to zero. Down here it says, if the BTC package is active right now, but you haven't gotten 100% back, I guess from commissions, I guess from everything, then the BTC package is still active until you get that 100%, until you get your money back. So all clients who have withdrawn less than 100%, it's just kind of reiterating that second illustration. All clients who have withdrawn less than 100% of the original purchasing price of the BTC packages will be granted future financial benefits as demonstrated in the following illustration. That's one we just looked at, so that these BTC packages can reach their original purchasing price. So they're just saying if you haven't gotten 100% back yet on the money you put into BTC packages, you'll continue to receive return on capital till you do. Our goal is to avoid any financial loss for our clients. So that's the big point here. And that's what I'm saying. Like, BitConnect did not do that. Davercoin did not do that. No other lending platform that ran into anything close to a problem like this that I'm aware of did anything like that or even tried to. So we need to, regardless of what you think, like, you need to respect the attempt to do this. Like, you've got to, compared to what everyone else in the industry is doing. Now, you might think the whole industry sucks of lending platforms, and I might be starting to agree with you, which is why I've moved on to where we can grow Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, where we hold the Bitcoin, where you hold the Bitcoin, where you don't give it to a lending platform. That was the lesson I learned. And if you want to learn about what we're doing, let me know, because it is an empowering way to go about it. Like, I might agree with you if you think the whole lending platform sucks, but to say that this company was the worst of them would be far from the truth. This company is the best of all lending platforms that ran into trouble, and nobody can argue on that. And I think that's a big deal, because when you think of the upside that people would have got if they won, if everything went well, the upside was, 40% plus, right? Like 140% meant 40, we got a 40% return. If you did the rebuys, it was compounded. Insane returns, right? Everybody was happy about that if it worked. To think that there was no possibility of loss with that kind of upside doesn't make any sense. Again, I feel empathy for those who don't get that. I feel empathy for those, and a lot of you might not like that I feel empathy for them because you feel like they're responsible. They should know they're accountable to what they do with their decisions. And I understand that point of view too, but I still feel empathy for the grandmas, the uncles, the sisters, the brothers, particularly those who didn't promote it, who trusted the relationship of the person that got them in, and who really counted on that money, regardless of whether they should have known or not. It's irrelevant to the empathy that I feel. We need to acknowledge that it's a big deal if they do pull through and no one has a financial loss. That's a really big deal in comparison to anyone else in the lending platform world. Now, quite frankly, I'm moving away from all lending platforms. Like, I'm not going to ever be involved with anything like that again. But bottom line, if they pull through on this, they will be at the top of integrity, and nobody can argue this, of all lending platforms that ever went kaput or ever had a major challenge. All the other ones didn't try to do this at all, didn't try to make sure that no client had avoided financial loss. Now, there's going to be some naysayers out there who say, well, they're not going to do that. They're just saying this because now they want to sell something else. And I would agree with them on one point. It would be stupid to give them more money until we see them deliver on this. That would be really dumb. And I hope they don't even ask us to do that. They need to at least start doing it. And then it's even iffy. And I certainly wouldn't promote it. Illustration of how the current BTC packages will be paid until they have reached the break-even point. So that was that other illustration. Again, nothing. Oh, maybe that's this one. Illustration of the current BTC packages will be paid until they have reached the break-even point. So it's saying Ethereum mining results. So this is stuff that they're doing to generate income. Part of BTC mining results, unused BTC mining capacities. I guess that's how they're paying the active BTC packages, so you get your 100%. At the present moment, however, we cannot foresee. Now, this is a little concerning. At the present moment, however, we cannot foresee how long it will take for us to attain cost recovery for all of our clients. We are working on a complete calculation of all active BTC packages as compared with all corresponding withdrawals. So they're still trying to figure out what it comes to, and they don't know how long it will take. So the very negative people out there are going to have some fuel and a field day if USI is trying to zero all of this out for people they paid 100% to, saying we don't know when, and they're charging for the new packages. Like, common sense says that it's silly for them to keep taking in money for new packages if they still haven't figured out when they can even pay back the clients that put in money for the previous package that wasn't delivered on and now is clear will never be delivered on. That would just be silly. So I'm assuming they're going to get this figured out here real soon. The determination of cost recovery for purchased BTC packages will be based on the withdrawals of each respective client distributor. This also applies to withdrawn commissions from distributor activity and financial donations for partners in the capacity of rebuy. So if you did a rebuy for your downline, that counts as a withdraw. Accounting commissions you received. All of this is counting towards, did you get the 100% that you put in back? So again, I had said it before in previous communications. I said it today already, and I'm going to say it again. I understand why you might be angry, frustrated, whatever. But I ask you to join me in acknowledging at least that if they do pull off paying back everybody enough so that nobody lost money, maybe you lost your blood, sweat, and tears and work building a business with it. I get that. No one gets that better than me. But if they make sure that everybody gets what they put in, that's a big deal. We must acknowledge that, and it's highly unusual in this industry. In fact, unheard of when a company goes under or can't fulfill. The resulting shortfall in relation to the respective deposits for all purchased BTC packages will then be paid out according to a yet to be determined contribution plan. That's a really complicated sentence. It's basically just saying they need to still figure out like how much they owe you, if anything at all, based on everything that you've withdrawn, including any rebuys that you did for other people, including commissions, et cetera, because their ultimate goal, as I said before, would be my bare minimum of what I asked for. So they're just trying to make sure that nobody lost money, especially the non-promoters, which I think is smart from a legal perspective, from an ethics perspective, and just from like, and again, we need to keep in mind, like, of course, when you get a huge promise of return, there's risk. So if the worst risk was you didn't lose anything, that's a big deal. We furthermore reserve the right to take legal action against those distributors who harmed our company in a previously described way. The damages obtained from these distribution partners, I mean, this communication should only go to those who did it, quite frankly. Everyone else, which is 99% of everyone else, shouldn't receive that communication. The damages obtained from these distribution partners will be used. They're using it as I think, a scapegoat. Maybe it's legitimate. It's hard to swallow. It's hard to believe based on previous communications about it only happening in North America. Remember that? That's the issue with this one. Because then they said it just happened the last few weeks, so that must have meant it was outside North America too, all of a sudden. Okay, but I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt on that and just end it with, even if that's true, the communications should be more respectful of the rest of the 99.9% of the associates, distributors, customers who had nothing to do with any of that behavior. Please note that you are obligated to duly declare and pay tax. All this thing is saying is they're not responsible for reporting taxes. You're responsible to paying them, as far as I understand. You might want to talk to an attorney or a tax consultant to make sure I interpreted that right, but that's my understanding. I'm not here to take place of an attorney trying to translate what this means from an attorney's perspective, a legal perspective, and I'm not here to provide any kind of financial advice or anything at all. But my understanding of this is that it's just saying, it's trying to like wash their hands of having any responsibility of reporting income and saying that you're responsible for taxes. In conclusion, we would like to thank you for your trust in our company. We very much regret the unfortunate recent development due to the behavior of many dubious distribution partners. We are convinced that we will continue to attain financial success for you with our new BTC Packages 2.0 in a newly modified and 100% transparent form. BTC Packages 2.0 will be directly linked to mining capacities and will receive the net earnings from them 7 days a week. It is, however, at least as important that due to the new structure, a similar situation will not be able to arise. In the next newsletter, we will announce all of the details about technical processing and the new BTC Package 2.0. All related functions will shortly thereafter be activated and go live. Like, are we going to see a withdraw button first? Is that all going to be sorted? I don't even want to say any more. You know my thoughts about it. I covered it. Again, if you're going to be in the USI group, discussions group here, you need to understand, you know, you're welcome. There's a link under the video here on YouTube to join, but I'm not going to add you yet until things simmer down a little bit and there's more clarity, because I can't manage a bunch of negativity and turn anything constructive out of it. Here's what happens. I want you to understand this. When there's a bunch of negativity, even if you feel it's warranted and all that, even if some of it I might feel is warranted, it doesn't work in here, because what it will do is it will make everyone leave that has a positive, constructive mindset that I can work with later if we need to for a collective voice. Like, we might be able to build a bridge with USI. You guys might say, oh, there's no way you can do that. That's your prerogative. Like, I have a right to set up a group and have that attempt and have the intention to do something constructive with everybody and create maybe a positive communication bridge with USI, and try to, like, you know, make sure that things end up in a positive way no matter what happens from here. And I can't do that with a bunch of people that can't control their emotions and don't know how to communicate constructively. So while I might love you as a person, understand, empathize with you, I'll have to kick you out of the group if you're in the group now and you can't contain your emotions. You know, cursing, you know, this isn't a freedom of speech place. This is a place for me to put together a harmonious, constructive group of people to do something constructive with. I don't really see that happening or manifesting anywhere else. And I think we could have that unique opportunity here in this group, and I'm going to go for it. I maybe won't be able to do it, That's okay. It's my prerogative. It's your prerogative to disagree with me. It's your prerogative to go on the attack with USI. I personally don't believe that's constructive. I won't be joining you in those negative attacks, but I will be if the time comes where they don't deliver on these things, at least, you know, paying back everybody put their funds in, like they're promising here. Yeah, we need a collective voice, and we need to be constructive, and we need to speak respectfully, and we need to maintain like the best people we can in this group. They're all going to run off if I let people who can't control their emotions blab, 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 even if I empathize with you. So try to understand that. If you're trying to join the group, you want to click on the link below the YouTube video and join the group. I will add you to the group, but after things simmer down a little bit. So feel free to join. Right now we have 339 pending, and it might get to 1,000 or so more before I let them all in. And maybe you can be a part of that collective voice. I also have a link, and a lot of you don't like this because you think it's you know, blatant self-promotion. But I am passionate about helping people continue their journey in cryptocurrency without continually staying in the cycle of lending platforms. Now, if you want to move forward with USI and what they're doing, fantastic. And I hope to be able to support them. I hope to see them follow through on all of this. And I hope to lead the charge even to seeing them move into a sustainable model that regulators in the US love, and supporting them in every way. But you know, if that doesn't pan out, we need to have a collective constructive voice here. And at the same time, I need to move on and develop other income streams, right? Makes sense, right? Like that's reasonable, isn't it? And since this is what I'm doing a lot with my time, is networking and working with people in USI and providing tremendous value to the community, I feel, with that time, and helping try to keep a positive, constructive group, I think it's appropriate for me at the end of these videos to let you know what I'm doing. And that is helping people grow Bitcoin without losing control of it themselves. So it can't be a scam. It can't be, you know, schemey. It can't be any of that when you control it. If you're interested in the Autobot trading strategy and controlling your own Bitcoin, you know, you can enter the link there, enter your name and email. And it might take me a while to follow up because the interest is high, but you'll get on my list and be able to learn about some of those things and see what we're doing. And you'll also get notifications about USI updates. Guys, I want to see USI succeed. I own a lot of tech coin, so obviously I have an interest there. But more than anything, what I want to see is the people who didn't promote it even get their money back. That would be amazing. It would be amazing reflection on USI and on a lot of our judgment in having gotten behind them in the first place. At least if they kind of failed in a way, they did it with integrity if they can pull that off. And they did it in a way that was way above bar of what any other lending platform did that failed. I hope they continue on with Bitcoin, BTC packages 2.0, you know, but they need to fulfill what they're promising here. I'll keep you updated. That's the best I can do for now. Please be respectful in the group. I don't want to kick you out. I want you to be a part of the collective voice. Try to understand why I would have to remove you, even if I love you, even if I understand, because I need to surround myself with constructive communicators, or we can't accomplish anything. All right, see you guys soon.